Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, the classified documents case against former President Trump has been dismissed. We'll tell you the reason behind the judge's decision.
Also breaking today, we have new information about how the suspected shooter spent Saturday morning and how the assassination attempt is hanging over the start of the Republican National Convention.
And it is now a WRAL weather alert day. Parts of our viewing area are now under an excessive heat warning. I'll show you how hot it will feel this afternoon where you are.
We bring it inside the WRAL studio right now, and good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. We're tracking 3 breaking stories for you at this hour. New information about the investigation into the shooting of former President Trump and what it will mean to the Republican National Convention as it gets underway today.
Also, a federal judge dismissed the classified documents case against President Trump, questioning the special counsel who brought it.
And we have just declared today a WRAL weather alert day because of the heat. This is the 3rd excessive heat warning of the year for Raleigh and the southern parts of our viewing area.
It could feel as hot as 115 degrees today. And meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is right now with us in studio in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how close we could come to setting that record high today.
So the record high today is 100 or 99, I should say, and we'll hit 100 most likely. And then it will feel even hotter than that. So we're likely to have record heat today. On top of that, we have an excessive heat warning that the Weather Service issued just a little while ago for the Triangle area down toward Fayetteville and all the way down to Sampson County. That's where we could feel like 115 to 119. The orange shaded area, which is the rest of our counties, could feel easily like 110. So definitely a dangerously hot day today. Now, tomorrow may look very much like this, but we do have some changes coming, and we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. Right now, it is 95, but feeling like 108 already in Durham and Raleigh. It feels like 104 in Fayetteville, 108 in Clinton, 104 in Rocky Mount and in Southern Pine. So, it is the middle of July. We're used to heat, but there are certain days where we have heat advisories or excessive heat warnings that you really need to heed those because it can be dangerous. Your heat has a big impact on the human body, and in situations like this, you could easily end up with a heat-related illness. Part of the reason is because there's so much moisture in the atmosphere. Dew point right now is 75, and again, that means that it's going to feel like 110 or hotter through the afternoon, and we don't get out of the triple digits until around 9 p.m. So there are really not going to be any windows of opportunity during daylight hours to get out safely. Coming up, I will show you when it will be much different and you can get out and about.
And breaking right now in the WRAL Live Center, the Florida judge overseeing former President Donald Trump's classified document trial dismissed the case against the former president today. The judge said that funding for special counsel Jack Smith was illegal. Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Smith as special counsel in 2022, tasking him with overseeing the federal investigations, including efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon said Smith's appointment was unlawful and also unconstitutional. Trump praised the ruling and said other criminal cases against him should also be tossed as well. Smith will be able to appeal this dismissal. However, the case could not go to trial before the election in November.
Turning now to the assassination attempt on the former president's life. We have new information this noon on the investigation right now. Police have learned the suspect, Thomas Crooks, bought 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store just hours before the rally Saturday. Investigators are back at his home today looking for more information about a possible motive.
New video out within the last few hours shot from the Trump rally shows the suspected shooter taking a position on the roof. CNN is reporting the video is time-stamped about 1 minute before shots were fired. It also shows at least one member of law enforcement walking around the base of the building. And confirmation this noon that the Secret Service did not sweep the building where the shooter was. A spokesman for the U.S. Secret Service told CNN the agency leaned on local law enforcement to conduct security at that location. The House Oversight Committee will receive a briefing with the Secret Service tomorrow.
The first official session at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin begins in less than an hour. This is a live look we have at the convention center right now where all the action will be taking place. Here are the headlines for you right now at noon. Former President Trump is expected to announce his VP pick today. In the past 30 minutes, CNN reported it could happen within the next few hours. Traditionally, the candidate does not speak until the end of the convention, but a North Carolina delegate is hearing Trump will speak at the delegation tonight. This morning, the mayor of Milwaukee said he's confident in the security surrounding this event.
The director of the United States Secret Service continues to have faith in the work that happened over the last 18 months for security. And I have faith and confidence as well in the Secret Service, in the Milwaukee Police Department, and other law enforcement agencies that are providing public safety here today.
North Carolina delegates at the RNC say security on the ground is tight.
WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie spoke with a member of the delegation just a couple of hours ago. She joins us live from the legislative building with what she's hearing. Laura.
Renee, I spoke this morning with Michelle Woodhouse. She is the Republican chair for the 11th Congressional District and a former congressional candidate and the host of a radio show that we hear here in Raleigh. She says security is definitely tighter in Milwaukee than what she experienced during the last in-person RNC convention back in 2016. Of course, after Saturday's shooting, there's a lot of concern about security at the RNC. Not only the president, but scores of elected officials and leaders from all over the country are converging in one place. The Secret Service says they're prepared and they've been working on a plan for this event for 18 months. Woodhouse is staying with the state delegation at a hotel that's inside the security perimeter. She said the hotel manager told her it took 2 hours to get through the security checkpoints to get to work this morning.
I think security is top notch. And I think it is higher than what we saw in Cleveland for good reason. And I anticipate every day going into the convention hall will be very tight security, but I feel incredibly safe, incredibly safe.
Now, I also asked Woodhouse about the mood there. Are people there upset or shocked or angry about what happened on Saturday? She said the sense she gets is one of overwhelming relief and anticipation. Now, Woodhouse said the nominee doesn't usually speak until Thursday night, but she said she's been told Trump will address the delegates this evening. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is also expected to speak on Thursday night. Actually, a lot of our state lawmakers here are among the delegates from North Carolina. We're hoping to speak with some of them this afternoon. We'll bring you that later on. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A North Carolina lawmaker will be one of the first on stage when the convention begins tonight. House Representative Jared Lowry will give the Pledge of Allegiance at 5 o'clock. Lowry is a former Marine and is a member of the Lumbee tribe. He's also an alternate delegate at the convention this week. Our coverage continues in our next half hour. We will check in for the latest headlines out of Wisconsin. And WRL's Laura Levine will talk with a North Carolina lawmaker attending the convention about the mood in Milwaukee. This assassination attempt comes as the presidential election season is only getting busier. North Carolina is a frequent destination for candidates.
And in the wake of the shooting, local law enforcement faces a major question. What does this mean for security at future rallies? WRL's Eric Miller has been looking into this for us today. And Eric, you just spoke with Wake County Sheriff Donnie Harrison. What do they have to say to you?
Jeff, former Sheriff Harrison provided advanced security for years over the course of his career and worked with more presidents and presidential candidates than he can count. That includes with former President Trump's team back when he was candidate Trump in 2016 when he visited right here at Dorton Arena. Former Sheriff Harrison telling us that preparing for one of these events, that was a weeks-long process. You not only have to secure the building, screen the thousands of people walking through those doors, you also have to screen the surrounding buildings and pay especially close attention to things like rooftops in the area, as well as the route a candidate or president is going to be getting to an event venue like this. Still, he says that complacency is a major risk in a situation like this, handling an event like this. Comments that we've heard echoed not only by Harrison, but by other security experts, including former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. Take a listen to what he had to say.
And so it's a multi-layered threat, a multifaceted threat. And I think going forward, you're going to see that complacency. I think we might have wrung the complacency out of the system. I don't know if there are resource issues that's being discussed, but I think that there is a natural posture of complacency that creeps in.
Former Sheriff Harrison says the changes that we'll see at upcoming rallies, upcoming events, that'll likely hinge on what comes out of the investigation into this shooting. Still, he also said that this will hopefully knock out some of the complacency that people can sometimes feel preparing for events like this. It might also help get members of the public on the side of law enforcement, getting folks out there who are attending to pay more attention, to be looking out for these threats, and if they see anything out of the ordinary, to potentially say something to the folks in charge of providing that security. A lot more to talk about this. We'll have more coming up at 4 and 6 this evening. Till then, I'm Eric Miller in Raleigh, WRAL News.
We have extensive coverage on WRAL.com and on our YouTube page. If you go there, you can hear from security experts on the investigation and how to prevent this from happening again. We also have information online about the protests expected at the convention and a timeline of the assassination attempt.
In New York City, security has been tightened at Trump Tower. An NYPD official says more officers have been added to the building out of an abundance of caution. Uniformed officers and a police dog could be seen patrolling outside Trump Tower's main entrance over the weekend.
One of the front runners for the job as Trump's running mate has extra security at his home. The Ohio State Highway Patrol has increased its presence at the home of U.S. Senator J.D. Vance. Ohio's governor approved the use of state law enforcement at his home. A spokesman won't say whether there was any real specific threat or in response to the shooting Saturday. NBC News says the Secret Service is not part of that increased security detail.
The Dow has hit a record high today as investors react to this weekend's events. The Dow Jones Industrial Average over 40,000 points, up 321 points at this hour. S&P 500 advancing 33 points. NASDAQ advancing 122 points. And also worthy of mentioning, stocks for Trump Media and Technology Group surged 30% today.
Next at noon, the Charlotte Observer is changing its print days. The reduction planned, why the cutback, and when it takes effect.
And Meta is lifting its restrictions on former President Trump's social media accounts. Why the change ahead of the November election?
Plus, the River Seine in Paris is still polluted with E. coli. What Olympics officials are doing with swimming events planned just days from now.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A Wake County woman is accused of leaving kids in a hot car. Sherry Price faces 2 counts of child abuse. Court documents say she left the car unattended in the middle of the afternoon during peak heat hours. They also say the car was not running and was not parked in a shaded area. Price is in jail without bond. Her next court date is August 6th. Over at the coast, someone vandalized a political party headquarters in Morehead City. Democratic Party Chair Kitty Tomberlin said in a social media post she was called Sunday morning in response to vandalism at the Carteret County Democratic Party office. She wrote that at some time during the previous evening, someone threw rocks and a concrete planter into the front window. Police are investigating.
One of our state's largest newspapers will no longer offer a print version every day. The Charlotte Observer announced today, starting this fall, there will only be print versions Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The article calls it a step in their transformation into a digital-forward newsroom. The change takes effect September 16th. Summer break has come to an end for Cumberland County year-round students. Buses were rolling again this morning. Cumberland County's Board of Education made an agreement with local law enforcement last week to supply school resource and traffic control officers to schools. Now each municipality will have its own officers as SROs. Unincorporated areas will be covered by the Sheriff's Office, who confirms that it is ready to serve year-round schools in the county.
Sticking with the school theme, we are focusing on education today in our county-by-county coverage. Here's the latest in Orange, Johnston, and Chatham counties. The Orange County Board of Education will swear in its new members in a few hours. Carrie Doyle, Jennifer Moore, and Wendy Padilla will take the oath of office. Padilla will be the first Hispanic woman to join the board. The meeting starts tonight at 6. This is the first day of Summer Learning Week in Johnston County. Commissioners joined the national initiative designed to slow learning loss over the summer. The county will participate in Pause for Reading, an event that lets children up to age 8 adopt a stuffed animal if they promise to read to it daily over the summer. Those stuffed animals will enjoy hearing those stories. The first event is today at 2 at the Kinley Library. And over in Chatham County, all students will be eligible for free meals when they go back to school. A federal program would have covered the move at all but 3 schools in the county. The Board of Education there voted unanimously to pay for meals at those schools as well.
We talk about summer break being over for some of those students. They're getting back to school. Can we just tell the temperatures that summer's over?
We'd love a break from these temperatures, but certainly not today, not with that heat advisory. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with what we can expect come this afternoon.
You know, it's been a rough summer so far, and we do have some relief in sight. By the time we get to Thursday, especially Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll see a break in some of this intense heat. But we're probably still not done with it for the summer. I mean, it is July 15th. So the red shaded area or purple shaded area is where we have an excessive heat warning, and that includes parts of the triangle and our southern counties. That's where it could feel like more than 110 degrees. And then the orange shaded area is going to be a heat advisory where it feels like 105 to 110. So dangerous heat. Again, you know, it was a very hot day yesterday, 100 degrees, and heat's impact on your body is cumulative. So if you happen to be out at all yesterday, you're out at all today, and then, you know, even out again tomorrow, it's just really hard to recover from that. And it's just so much easier to end up with heat exhaustion, heat stroke. So know the signs, know the symptoms of that, and just make sure that you're getting help if you're showing any of those symptoms. We take a live look at downtown Apex. This view of Salem Street looks very hazy, doesn't it? And we are seeing clear skies, a little bit of haze, and very few people really walking around, a few of them, but I think it looks like there in Apex, a lot of folks are seeking the air conditioning, as you should. 95 degrees right now with a dew point of 75. That dew point at 75 is a very, very moist air mass, and that just means that our bodies can't cool themselves very well. The way we cool our bodies is we sweat, and that liquid sits on our skin and then evaporates. And so we have evaporative cooling that takes place, and it makes your skin feel cooler. It cools your body as a whole. But there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. There's nowhere for that sweat to evaporate to, and we don't cool ourselves as efficiently, and it feels hotter than it really is. So it feels like 108 in Durham and Raleigh. It feels like 99 in South Hill. It feels like 106 in Goldsboro, 108 in Clinton, and 104 in Southern Pines and in Fayetteville. And it will only feel hotter over the next little while. So far, we've had 10 days with a heat advisory in our viewing area, and 8 to 9 is the average for the year. And really, the summer's only about half over. We've already had 2, now 3 excessive heat warnings, and the average is 1 to 2. As a matter of fact, we really only have 1.2, I know it's a funny way to put it, but statistically, 1.2 days in our area with 100 degrees, and we've already seen, I think, 8 days at 100. So 100 Raleigh, 100 Durham, 103 in Fayetteville for this afternoon. And of course, that heat index could take us to 110 or hotter this afternoon in some places. And we stay in the triple digits up until around 9 p.m. So today's high, 199 is the record. So we may break that record, may not break it tomorrow with the forecast of 99. The record high is actually 101 tomorrow. So how about those 90 plus days? We've seen 36 so far this year, and the yearly average is 45. So 9 more 90-degree days, and we've broken that average. That's highly likely. Feeling like 110 tomorrow, 107 Wednesday, and 101 Thursday. Tomorrow, it is likely that we'll be back under a heat advisory or another excessive heat warning. So just keep that in mind. We'll have the potential for excessive heat. But by the time we get to Thursday and Friday, that backs way off. We're going to change our pattern completely back to a wetter pattern. We're waiting for some thunderstorms to develop today. Nothing just yet. But as we take this through the afternoon, you'll see once we get to maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a few of those could develop, especially from the triangle area southward. Minimal impacts from these, maybe some brief heavy rain. Take a look at this, though. Thursday and Friday are likely to be quite wet for us. We have the potential for flooding toward the end of the week, and then so much cooler temperatures. I'll show you how much we could see starting Thursday through the weekend.
Elizabeth, thanks. Vietnamese electric vehicle manufacturer VinFast is again delaying its production of EVs in North Carolina. Production now set for 2028. Today at 4, we're looking into the reasons behind this delay.
Amazon Prime Day is tomorrow, but before you start hunting for those deep discounts, 5 on Your Side breaks down how to avoid scammers who are trying to prey on you. Still ahead next at noon, he watched through his lens as the president took a bullet.
Then when I saw him grab his ear and he kind of winced and then immediately went down, I thought, oh my God, he's been shot.
The photographer who captured the iconic photo of the bullet right as it grazed Trump's ear. He shares what went through his mind.
And why you could see more political content appearing in your Facebook and Instagram feeds this week. The photographer who captured the image of the bullet flying near the former president's ear did not know he had that photo. Doug Mills has covered the White House since 1983. Mills says he sent a few photos back to the office straight from after he was rushed to a holding tent where members of Trump's staff and the media were visibly shaken.
I really didn't know that I had that picture into one of the editors after I sent all the first pictures. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I got a text back saying, you won't believe what's on one of your images. And she sent, Jennifer sent it back to me and said, I think we can actually see a bullet.
Mills says he was shooting at 8,000th of a second and captured the streak behind Trump.
And former President Trump's campaign has started a GoFundMe page to raise money for the victims shot during the rally. One person died, 2 others were wounded. Trump's campaign national finance director issued a statement that says the former president authorized the account so people can financially help the families. As of this morning, more than $3.5 million had been donated. Meta says it is lifting restrictions placed on former President Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts. The social media company says the change is to ensure Trump and President Biden would be on equal footing ahead of the November election. Trump's accounts were originally suspended following the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol and were reinstated last year with restrictions. Following his suspension, Trump launched his own social media platform, Truth Social.
Still ahead, the mood in Milwaukee with the RNC going on as planned. Find out how local delegates are feeling.
And a new study suggests cancer may not be as random as you might think. The 3 risk factors you can control that account for nearly half of cancer deaths. That's in our next half hour. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Our top story at 12:30. The nation is slowly taking steps forward after the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
This story is constantly unfolding. Here's what we have learned in just the last half hour. President Biden and Vice President Harris received a security briefing in the Situation Room this noon hour. The Attorney General, Homeland Security Secretary, FBI Director, and the Director of the U.S. Secret Service all were in attendance.
Investigators say they have not found any sign of a motive of planning in the suspect's cell phone so far. They still have about a quarter of the information to process. And in a post to Truth Social, former President Trump is calling for Secret Service protection for independent presidential candidate RFK Jr., citing the history of the Kennedy family.
Federal agents are searching for evidence and answers right now in Pennsylvania while the Secret Service is facing questions and criticism. NBC's Jay Gray reports some are calling the event a security failure.
Former President Trump traveling to Milwaukee for today's opening of the Republican National Convention. Just a day after the attempt on his life. In a new interview, Mr. Trump describing his very surreal experience to the New York Post, adding, "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead." Late Sunday, posting the message, "Unite America," on social media as President Biden addresses a stunned nation from the Oval Office.
You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that.
Responsibility at the center of growing questions and frustration over how it could happen. A rooftop less than 150 yards from the rally stage left open and accessible. The alleged shooter, seen in this new video, able to fire at least 8 shots from the position before he's taken out by Secret Service snipers.
The buck does stop with the U.S. Secret Service. It's their plan. You're responsible, so you can't deflect blame on anybody else.
President Biden ordering an independent investigation into what many in law enforcement are calling a colossal breakdown and profound security failure.
If that bullet was 2 inches to the right, it would have penetrated the former president's forehead, and we would have a great American tragedy on our hands.
Federal agents searching for a motive say the man accused of pulling the trigger, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, is still a mystery, unknown to law enforcement before the attempted assassination. Jay Gray, NBC News, Butler, Pennsylvania.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we're following the latest developments in all of this. This is actually a live look inside the RNC in Milwaukee right now. You see a couple of people inside. As we've reported previously, Milwaukee's mayor said the RNC has the tightest security level possible, and he feels very confident that everybody will be safe. Also, the director of Secret Service says she feels confident that everyone will be safe as well. They've been preparing for this for the last 18 months. First Lady Jill Biden, we've learned, also spoke to Melania Trump, but they have not released any details on that conversation. Also, Vivek Ramaswamy, who ran for the GOP presidential primary, this afternoon he is urging the country to come together after that assassination attempt. We'll follow all the developments here in the WRAL Live Center.
North Carolina lawmakers are asking for peace heading into this critical moment in the presidential campaign. As the convention gets underway, WRAL's Laura Levine spoke with some of the delegates to hear their concerns.
North Carolina lawmakers call this situation a wake-up call. We know nearly 2,400 delegates from across the country are gathering in Wisconsin now to formally offer President Trump the Republican Party's presidential nomination. We know North Carolina delegates are out there. We spoke with several of them, and they tell us this year's convention in Milwaukee has significantly heightened security compared to previous years. However, that is not the only thing that has changed. They tell us the tone has shifted as well. Some North Carolina delegates are energized and motivated. Others confident political rhetoric will calm down moving forward on both sides of the aisle.
People are just angry, still in shock, just upset that this happens to anybody. I think there's a nonpartisan spirit everywhere. You talk to people in the airport coming here and everybody that this kind of act can't stand, and that I think people are looking for a sense of unity and feeling together as a nation.
And with this big week ahead, we will continue to monitor the events throughout the week, as well as get that reaction from our local lawmakers and North Carolina delegates. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Former GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley is expected to speak at the convention tomorrow. Haley was Trump's chief rival in the Republican primary contests. She has since told her delegates to vote for Trump. Republican leaders say Trump's vice presidential pick will speak Wednesday, followed by Trump on Thursday. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is also on the list of confirmed speakers this week. Laura Leslie reported earlier in this newscast he will take the podium on Thursday. So will members of a UNC fraternity who held up the American flag during a protest on campus earlier this year. That group was among a large group of speakers picked for the, quote, Everyday American Convention portion of the program.
Tonight, Lester Holt will sit down with President Biden for an exclusive one-on-one interview. You can watch a preview on NBC Nightly News tonight at 6:30. You can see the full unedited interview in a primetime special at 9 on WRAL. Then stay with us for special coverage of the Republican National Convention starting at 9:30 tonight.
Stamp prices have gone up again. It's the sixth time the price has gone up in 3 years. Why some postal workers fear this could have a much broader impact on other services.
And is your medication making you feel worse in this extreme heat? We'll share the 4 most common medications that can make you more prone to heat illness. That's after the break. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL. Visit WRAL.com and search only.
Childhood immunization rates continue to fall even after the pandemic. The rate of immunizations dropped during COVID in a, quote, historic backslide, but has yet to recover. Worldwide vaccination coverage was at 84% last year, the same as in 2022. The World Health Organization and UNICEF's 2023 immunization coverage report is the world's largest study on immunization trends for vaccinations.
An organization in Florida is making it easier for people with dementia to go out to a restaurant. Dementia-friendly dining is working with restaurants to create a dining experience that's comfortable for people with dementia and their caregivers. This often means seating the customers in an area with no music, fewer distractions, and additional training for servers. The founder says the idea came from his own experience, giving up dinners out with his wife after her diagnosis.
A new study suggests we have more control over our own risks of developing cancer than many people realize. The American Cancer Society released a study that found about half of all cancer deaths in adults over age 30 can be traced to risk factors that we can change. The leading risk factor is still smoking, which contributes to nearly 20% of all cancer cases. 13 forms of cancer are associated with an unhealthy weight. Sunscreen can keep you from becoming part of this statistic. Skin cancer is the most commonly diagnosed form of cancer in the U.S.
This summer's heat wave can increase your chance of heat-related illnesses by amplifying the side effects of many common medications. For example, many blood pressure pills work by reducing the fluid in your blood, which can lead you to get dehydrated faster. Some kinds of antidepressants can interfere with the body's ability to keep cool. Beta blockers taken for heart problems are known to decrease blood flow to the skin. And topical remedies for acne can make you more susceptible to sunburn. Bottom line, make sure to pay closer attention than usual to the signals your body is sending, and talk to your doctor if you have any questions. Today is one of those extreme heat days here in our area. When we come back, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will be here to tell us how many more days of heat we'll handle before a break in the weather. And the Seine River water quality continues to be a concern ahead of the Olympic Games. The latest test results and why French authorities are not worried. Less than 2 weeks until the opening ceremony in Paris kicks off the Summer Games. The Olympic torch continues to make its way through Paris. Today, the torch's flames were lit in front of colorfully dressed dancers of the Moulin Rouge. The relay then moved on to visit other landmarks in the capital city. Large crowds lined the route to get a look at the iconic Olympic flame. The torch relay will culminate with the lighting of the cauldron during the opening ceremony on July 26th.
French authorities say the water quality of the Seine River is improving, but E. coli levels are still high. That's where those athletes will be competing in the swimming leg of their competition. Officials testing the water say bacteria levels have been above acceptable levels most days. They say weather has improved, and they're confident things will be safe for the competitions. WRAL is your exclusive place to go for Olympics coverage. You can watch the competitions, the medal ceremonies, live analysis, all on WRAL. We'll have live reports from Paris in our 6 a.m. news at 6 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Clemson can continue its legal fight against the Atlantic Coast Conference in the South Carolina court system. The university had challenged contracts with the league and how it divides revenue among schools. The ACC argued the scope of the conference meant South Carolina's courts were not the right venue for the case. A judge disagreed late Friday. Clemson says it is not necessarily looking to leave the conference, but with so many changes in college sports, the university wants to be able to pursue options if the need arises.
Stamps will cost you more going forward. Prices went up 5 cents today. A stamp is now 73 cents. This is the 6th time stamp prices have gone up in the last 3 years. Millions of businesses and organizations still use the U.S. mail. The Association for Postal Commerce is raising concern that the higher postage prices could drive away the demand and ultimately affect the Postal Service budget.
The governor of Texas is threatening to issue an executive order to force an electricity provider to improve its equipment if the company does not address his concerns in the wake of Hurricane Beryl. As of this morning, more than 293,000 customers are without power across the state of Texas. More than 260,000 of those are CenterPoint customers. Governor Abbott says he wants the Texas Public Utility Commission to investigate the delayed response and what can be done to fix it. CenterPoint says 90% of power should be back by some point today. More than 100 million people are under some form of heat alert today. Near record temperatures and high humidity are expected all along the East Coast. Even Boston could feel like 100 degrees today.
All right, raise your hand if you're in that category, because we are, no doubt. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. A weather alert day because of it.
Oh, man. So this morning, it was just a heat advisory, and now we're under an excessive heat warning for parts of our viewing area, including Raleigh down to Fayetteville, over toward Goldsboro, down toward Clinton. So it's one of those days you really do need to stay put. It was a very hot day yesterday with a temperature of around 100, with the heat index, well into the triple digits. We'll see that today. And again tomorrow, too. It wouldn't be surprising for us to be under another heat advisory or an excessive heat warning. So we'll have to deal with this for several days in a row, but there is relief in sight. By the time we get to Thursday, especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to see the excessive heat move on out. But this is a look at our heat index forecast to the afternoon. It could feel like 114 in Fayetteville, 110 in Clinton, 109 in Raleigh. It already feels like 108 in Durham and Raleigh. So it may be a little hotter than that later today. Feeling like 110 in Goldsboro, 108 Rocky Mount, and 108 in Southern Pines. And as we talked about earlier in the newscast, the effects of heat on your body are cumulative. So the more days in a row you're exposed to this high heat, the more likely you are to succumb to those heat-related illnesses. So just be careful. Again, we do have a period later in the week where it'll be much safer to be out and doing anything you need to get done outside. Beautiful sunshine out there. Goldsboro, Apex, Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Taking a look at Fayetteville there. I mean, there's hardly a cloud in the sky. There's some haze out there, which we typically see when there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and there definitely is. Right now, we're kind of in between systems. This high-pressure system hanging out to our west. A cold front will come sweeping through on Thursday, and that's what's going to help change our pattern. But for today, it's a fairly quiet pattern. We do have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere and, of course, hot conditions, and that may pop a few thunderstorms across some of the region, especially from the Triangle area southward, and some of those could produce some brief heavy rainfall periods, but we're just not going to see very much of that. The change in our pattern will come mid to late week. We're going to have still a steady flow of tropical moisture, and our chance of rain increases as a cold front swings through. That's going to bring us a chance of some flooding rain, but also a break from some of the intense heat. If you remember what happened on Friday, we had just pockets of very heavy rain develop. We could see that again Thursday and possibly Friday, but Thursday we're more likely to have a flooding potential. You can see from the Triangle area eastward, that yellow shaded area, that's a level 2 risk for flooding, and that's exactly what we saw last Friday. We are likely to start to cool off, and in this case, it's not likely to be just one day, but we may see these cooler temperatures all the way through at least the weekend. So this is a look at our flood risk. We have that elevated or level 2 risk for Thursday, but then it's back down to just a marginal risk on Friday. It looks like the heaviest rain would be Thursday, but we'll have widespread rain again on Friday as well. Wednesday, it's just going to be scattered like we're seeing today. Let's walk through it with Futurecast. Here's 4 p.m. Thursday, and you can see those yellow shaded areas. We're going to see a good bit of rainfall. Let's see if we can back that up again. How much? Likely to be anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. That certainly will help our drought situation, but that is a lot of rain within a fairly short period of time. So we'll be on the lookout for flooding, especially on Thursday. Our 24-hour temperature change looks like this. Of course, we're hotter than normal now, signified by the yellow and orange color contours. But look what happens once we get to Thursday, then Friday and Saturday. A good chunk of the country, really from the Rockies eastward, finally sees a break from some intense heat. So we'll be looking forward to that. In the meantime, today is a WRAL weather alert day for our extreme heat that we'll be dealing with. We'll probably have a heat advisory again for tomorrow as well, but definitely looking forward to those cooler temperatures. But what may come with it is a lot of heavy rain and some flooding potential.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Still ahead, the find on a New Zealand beach that could teach science a thing or two about life under the sea.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
And we continue to follow breaking news developments after the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Police have learned that the suspect, Thomas Crooks, bought 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store just hours before that rally Saturday. Investigators are back at his home now today, seeking more information about a motive in this case.
The first official session at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee begins in less than an hour. Former President Trump is expected to announce his VP pick today. In the past 60 minutes, CNN reported that it could happen within the next few hours. This morning, the mayor of Milwaukee says he is confident in the security surrounding this event.
A federal judge has dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump. Florida Judge Aileen Cannon said the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith violated the Constitution. She didn't rule on whether Trump's behavior was legal. The former president said the shelving of his classified documents case should be just the first step.
A rare appearance from Princess Kate over the weekend. The Princess of Wales and her daughter Charlotte attended the men's singles final at Wimbledon. In this video, you can see she is met with a standing ovation as she made her way to the royal courtside box. She also presented the Champions Trophy to Spain's Carlos Alcaraz. This is her second public appearance since announcing that she is being treated for cancer.
Argentina won the 2024 Copa America Championship 1-0 over Colombia last night. Argentina is the defending champion in this event, was a tournament favorite going in, never trailed during the competition. Their win comes after Lionel Messi was subbed out during the game with an ankle injury. And that game was delayed, the start of it delayed more than an hour after fans who didn't have tickets rushed that stadium trying to get inside. People were seen jumping over security railings and running past police officers and stadium attendants. Police say an officer was struck with a rock during the incident and several people were taken into custody.
One of the world's rarest whales washed up on the shores of New Zealand. The country's Department of Conservation says it believes this is a spade-toothed whale. If DNA testing confirms it, this would be the first specimen found in a state that allows biologists to learn more about the species. Only 6 other spade-toothed whales have ever been found. They need to get the heavy equipment out there.
No doubt. A shelter in Washington state says it's too expensive to stay open. The Olympic Peninsula Humane Society shelter says it has been over capacity for years, ever since owners began returning their pandemic pups. The shelter is losing $40,000 a month, something county managers say is not sustainable. The facility will close as soon as current residents find homes. Then the county will sell the property and use the proceeds to renovate the county's cat shelter so all pets can be in the same space.
Today's pet of the day is looking for a great place to get cozy. Meet Dude. He's small enough that he still considers himself the perfect lap dog. Dude is looking for a family or an individual that cherishes time together and that really enjoys the comfort of cuddling. He's not a loner and would make for a great emotional support dog. For serious inquiries about Dude, please call AARF at 919-894-1111.
And the Dude abides.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day. Try to stay cool.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.